Welcome to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josie. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josie. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josie, creator of RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing their badassery. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is Gmail email addresses. Okay, folks, this may hit home for a few of you, but I say this with some tough love. Stop, and I repeat, stop using business email addresses that end in @gmail.com. This screams rookie to most and fake to others. It is literally a few bucks a month to get a business email address from Google, which also comes with a Google Drive, Google Calendar, and so much more. In the real estate investment business, you will quickly find your spam folder starting to grow with emails from financial institutions wanting to lend you money on your next deal. If it sounds too good to be true, then 99% of the time it is. If the email is coming from a Gmail account, then it just bumped up to 100% chance of being an illegitimate business. If you get an email from fullyfundyournextdeal@gmail.com or fundingamerica@gmail.com, let that be a red flag and delete them immediately. So if you are serious about your business and want others to respect you, drop the @gmail.com and upgrade to a real business email account. Now on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. Today's guest is known as the Land Geek. Mark Podolsky is widely considered to be the country's most trusted and foremost authority on buying and selling raw, undeveloped land. Today, Mark will share his journey into the world of buying, selling, and leasing raw land as an investment. He has actively invested in real estate and raw land for almost 20 years and has completed over 5,000 unique transactions in that time. It is my pleasure to welcome to the show my new friend, Mark.
Jen Josie, thank you so much for that.
Was I tough in my badassery bestowment?
No, not at all.
Do you agree? The Gmail, come on. It's one of my pet peeves.
I 100% agree. And I actually have a great tip to get a business email with hey.com, HEY.com. Check it out. It is so simple. There's 3 email boxes. The inbox, not in, as it's M-I-M, important box. Then you have the feed, which is all like your newsletters. And then you have the paper trail, which is all your receipts. That's it. You don't have to worry about all the filters and all this. And then you have the screen in, screened out. So if you get one of those funders@gmail.com, it'll ask you, do you want this email? And you can screen them out. You'll never see it again. Oof. It is Zen.
I love
Beautiful
that.
Email.
Because you get a shit ton of spam, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you put your email address on one response on a Facebook, promotion of some sort. A lot of people are going to capture that. But anyway, this is about you, Mark. I had about 30 seconds with you before this call, and I already have a huge crush on you. You say you're a geek. You are far from it. I can't wait to hear what you are going to talk about. And you're going to talk about raw land. So before we get into that, let's hear about you. How did you get involved in real estate?
All right. So we rewind the tape now to 2000. I was a miserable, micromanaged, 45-minute commute to work and back investment banker
Oof.
specializing in mergers and acquisitions with private equity groups. And Jen, it got so bad for me. I wouldn't get the Sunday blues anticipating Monday coming around. I'd get the Friday blues anticipating the weekend going by really fast and having to be back at work on Monday. So my firm hires this guy, and he's telling me that as a side hustle, he's buying up raw land, pennies on the dollar. He's flipping them online, and he's making a 300% return on his money. And I'm looking at companies all day long. And a great company, great, has 15% EBITDA margins or free cash flow. Your average company is 10%. I'm looking at companies all day long, less than 10%. So of course I don't believe them. I've got $3,000 saved up for car repairs. I go to New Mexico with them to a tax deed auction. I buy up 10 half-acre parcels at an average price of $300 each. I flip them online, and they all sell for an average price of $1,200 each, 300%. It worked. So I took all that money and went to another auction, and this is in Arizona where I live. And again, this is 2000. There's no one in the room. I'm buying up lots and acres for nothing, and I made over $90,000 on that one auction. So I go to my wife, and she's pregnant at the time. I said, honey, I'm going to quit my job and become a full-time land investor. And she's like, absolutely not. So I said, okay. So it took me 18 months for the land investing income to exceed the investment banking income. And then I quit. I've been doing it full-time ever since. I absolutely love it.
Okay. Rewind to you bought these lots for $300 a pop.
$300 a pop.
And they were auction
and
properties?
Today, you can even with the inflation, yeah, they're auction properties just going. They just want to get the minimum amount for the taxes.
And is this in an area, because you're saying lots, and you bought how many? 10, you said?
10. Yeah, this is in a rural area of New Mexico.
Oh my goodness. So I see lots where it's like lot number 21. So everything's already been done, but you're talking about different types of lots.
Yeah, I'm talking about rural land, an hour or two outside of the city.
And are they next to each other?
Sure, they can be next to each other.
So
sometimes they're not adjoining.
Who are you selling them to at that 300%, price increase?
I'm selling them to somebody who wants a piece of raw land because there's a lust for land in this country, Jen. You know what would be great? I'm going to walk you through the model step by step so you can become a land investor and you can flip your first piece of land and make it cash flow. Okay. So Jen,
my mouth has been hanging open this whole time. So I got to close my lower jaw. I'm like, what? So one of your notes, by the way, that I want to get into here are 5 reasons you should be creating passive income. Is this what we're going to get into by buying up raw land?
Well,
because I'm chomping at the bit already. After. I want to hear about this.
All right. Okay, let me walk you through the model, and then we'll get into the 5 reasons. Okay, so you live in North Carolina.
Raleigh, North Carolina, yes.
Raleigh, North Carolina. Okay, so I'm going to assume that you own some raw land, let's say 5 acres in Arizona, and you owe $200 in back taxes. So you're essentially advertising 2 important things to me. Number one, you have no emotional attachment to the raw land. You're in North Carolina, property's in Arizona. And number 2, you're financially distressed in some weird way because you haven't paid your property taxes. And when we don't pay for things, we don't value them in the same way. As a result, the county treasurer keeps sending you notices saying, Jen, Miss Badass, if you don't pay your property taxes, you're going to lose this property to a tax deed or tax lien investor. So all I'm going to do is look at the comparable sales on your 5-acre parcel, and I'm going to, for the last 12 to 18 months, I'm going to take the lowest comparable sale. Let's say it's $10,000. I'm going to divide by 4, and that's going to get me what Warren Buffett would call a 300% margin of safety. So I'm going to send you an actual offer of $2,500 for your 5-acre parcel. Now you accept it. Why? Because for you, $2,500 is better than nothing. Now, in reality, 3 to 5% of people accept my quote unquote top dollar offer, but you accept it. Now, once you've accepted the offer, I have to go through due diligence or in-depth research. I have to confirm you still own the property. I have to confirm the back taxes are only $200. I have to make sure there's been no breaks in the chain of title. There's no liens or encumbrances. So I have this whole big due diligence report. I outsource it to my team in the Philippines. They're connected to an American title company. It costs about $11. Now, if I was investing more than $5,000, I wouldn't take any risk. with title, and I would just close traditionally through an American title company. But this is only $2,500. I'll take the risk. Everything checks out, and now I write you a check for $2,300. I write the treasurer a check for $200. I own that property free and clear. Now, Jen, I'm going to sell your property 30 days or less. I'm going to make a cash flow like a rental home. So I have a built-in best buyer. Do you know who it is?
I don't.
The neighbors. So I'm going to send out neighbor letters saying, hey, here's your opportunity. Protect your privacy, protect your views, know your neighbor. So oftentimes the neighbors will buy it. Now, if they pass, I'll go to my buyers list. If the buyers list passes, I'll go to a little website you may have never heard of. It's called Craigslist. It's the 15th most trafficked website in the United States. I'll go to one I know you've heard of. It's called Meta or Facebook, buy-sell groups in the marketplace. And then I'm going to go to the lands, landmodo.com, landsofamerica.com, landandfarm.com, landflip.com, landhub.com. These are platforms where people buy and sell raw land. But the way that I sell it is I'm going to make it irresistible. So all I'm going to do is ask for a $2,500 down payment for somebody to control that 5-acre parcel. And then I'm going to make it a car payment. Let's say $299 a month at 9% interest for the next 84 months. So it's a one-time sale. I get my money out on the down payment. I could go 6 to 10 months out. And now I'm getting $299 a month and 9% interest for the next 84 months. No renters, no rehabs, no renovations, no rodents. And because I'm not dealing with a tenant, I'm exempt from Dodd-Frank, RESPA, and the SAFE Act, all this onerous real estate legislation. And now it's a simple game. Can we create enough land nodes where our passive income exceeds our fixed expenses? And now we're working because we want to, not because we have to.
Mark, you are blowing my mind here. So this whole situation, and let me dumb it down for myself and correct me if I'm wrong here. So you are buying this raw land. Have you visited this raw land?
No, Jen, I can always make more money. I can't get more time. So I'm going to outsource the visiting of the property. Maybe if I've never been there, I'll spend $50 for a local to go out there with my property report, shoot video, take pictures. I'll have them download an app called What 3 Words, which will ping me their GPS coordinates in 3 words so I can see if they're close or not.
Smart.
But I want to know, what are the neighbors doing? Are they dumping any property? What's the road like? How near services? How far the nearest Walmart, McDonald's, whatever it is? What's compelling about the property? So they'll do all that for me, which is way more efficient than me going out there. I've done over 6,000 transactions. Literally, the last time I looked at a piece of land was like $1 million deal. Otherwise, I haven't gone out to look at a piece of property.
Okay. So you're buying this land from Jen, who doesn't care. She's behind on taxes. She's $200 behind. She has no emotional attachment to it. So you buy it from her for $2,500. She's happy. She doesn't have that $200 payment lingering over her head. It's an area that, by the way, how did Jen get a hold of this land? Like what is typical reasons why people own land?
So sometimes, Jen's parents bought it and they had dreams to build out there one day and they didn't, and then passed away, and now Jen owns it.
Gotcha.
And has no interest in it. Sometimes they just buy it because they just bought it as an investment and then never developed it. And now what was once an asset is now a liability.
Huge what you just said right there. So you buy it from Jen for $2,500. She is excited. Then you go to social media, you go to Craigslist, you go to all these places, and now you are saying, I have this land that you can develop. It's what did we decide it was? 5 acres?
5 acres.
5 acres. And if you give me a down payment of $2,500, which is what you paid for it. So now you are out of pocket $0, and it's going to start cash flowing like naked land for the next how many months?
84 months.
And and what are you selling it for? Like, what are they, like, what are the terms here? So what's the full all-in price that they're paying?
We typically on a terms deal, because of time value of money, we want to have 800 to 1,000, 800 to say 1,200% return on investment. So on a cash deal, it's maybe 300%, 500%.
Oh my goodness. And so, and you had my wheels turn into my brain because I looked at a property recently and there was just a random, and it was enclosed. It had nothing to do with, like, there was no access to it. It was in the back of probably 15 homes. And there's just this random little field. And I'm like, well, who owns that? And there's a fence around it. And I saw that it was owned by an individual. And I was just like, what is that person ever going to do with that? So huge nugget you shared is to go to the neighbors, because then a neighbor can say, hey, I just expanded my backyard and now I have this whole fenced in area for my dog to, run around and have fun in. So smart. I love that. All right. So now you're leasing it. Can they say, I changed my mind. I want to sell it now. So now what do they have to pay off? Because they're paying you a car payment, which is what you were saying, $299. I wish my car payment was $299. But anyway, if it was $299.
Right. Think Civic, Corolla, not the Jen Josie badass Tesla or.
I do have a Tesla.
Whatever it is.
I have a Tesla. Her name is Betty White. You called me. I'm red. No one can see me, but you just called my ass out, Mark. I love it. See, you and I, we're connected right here. I love it.
Yeah, there you go. Us real estate people, we're thinking forward.
We love the Tesla. Future. Yes. All right. Yeah. So now what if they say, I want to sell it. They have to pay you what they like oh my gosh.
Yeah, they've got it. So we've got 3 contracts. We've got a land contract, a promissory note, and a purchase sale agreement. And they all sort of say the same thing. Make your monthly payments, we don't have a problem. But if you miss a payment or you're late on a payment, then you've got 30 days to cure your default. And if you don't cure your default, then we keep your down payment, we keep your monthly payments, and we sell it to the next person. We get a new down payment, we get new monthly payments, and we expand out our ROI. So we don't do a deed of trust. There's no cost of foreclosure. And it's just very simple.
Oh my goodness. All right. So before we get into the 5 reasons why everyone needs to be getting involved in this, how do you find these deals? Or is that going to be part of it?
So the way that we find the deals is essentially, you gotta be really honest, right? Like, let's just be honest. Like, nobody wakes up and thinks themselves, boy, I like some raw land in Iowa today, unless you live in Iowa. So we want to go after the Sunshine States, New Mexico, Colorado, Arizona, Nevada, maybe a little bit in the Northwest, Oregon, Washington, California, and then Texas, of course, and then Florida. So, it's not to say we couldn't do deals in the Midwest or North Carolina, but we want to have our biggest buyer pool. And so from there, we essentially want to just assess a market. I'd go to a site like landmodo.com and just see where are people buying raw land.
So what?
Imagine where people are, Landmodo, M-O-D-O.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So imagine that you and I are going to go fishing. And on the lake, we see there's 10 boats on one side of the lake, and they're all catching fish. And on the other side of the lake, there's 2 boats. They're not catching anything. Do we want to go where there's 2 boats, or do we want to go where there's 10 boats?
2 boats.
No, we want to go where there's 10 boats, where it's the market and they're catching fish.
Oh, I thought you said they weren't catching fish.
No, the 10 boats are catching fish. The 2 boats are there's no competition, they think, but they're not catching anything.
I am drinking, Mark. Cut me a little slack. I missed that they were catching fish. So it's later in the day for me.
This is why, I'm going to send you that bumper sticker. Don't drink and podcast. It's okay.
Oh my gosh, you crack me. And you have a podcast too.
I do. Tell
everyone what your podcast.
Income. Yeah, it's the Art of Passive Income podcast, and I interview experts like you, and then we'll also do a roundtable where we'll talk about a pain point in raw land investing, and as a coaching group, sort of discuss how we solve it. It's a lot of fun.
And you are the coach for one of my past podcast guests, Brent Bowers. He did a great job. I'm hearing a lot of the same nuggets. It's just, we get so busy in what we're like our forte is. So right now I'm really focused on buying multifamily Airbnbs. So it's like on the top, but every time I start hearing about raw land, I'm like, gosh, I really need to start getting into this. And this is great for the listeners who maybe can't find the deals right now, even though now is the time to start buying, folks. I think we're seeing a little trend in the market. So
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have a lot of capital, then raw land investing is a gateway drug into multifamily, for sure.
I'm tapping my wrist here. So,
Yeah.
so you do have to come up with the money up front. Or what if somebody's listening and they have zero funds to invest? Can they finance buying raw land?
So, well, absolutely, because a bank won't lend on raw land.
Okay.
So yeah, you can owner finance it, but these are smaller deals. If you don't have, let's say, $5,000 to close on a transaction, find $5,000. Like,
Okay.
there's a million ways to get money these days.
A million.
The real value is in getting the deal. So I don't care what asset you get, 25 cents on the dollar. There's someone else on the other end of that deal. You could assign the option. You can flip it wholesale. You could, essentially, if you have enough money for mailing. So I had a student do this. So he's got no money, but he had enough money for mailing. So he finds this deal in upstate New York, and the seller is going to sell it for, $10,000 to him. He's like, I don't have $10,000. So what does he do? He sends out neighbor letters. The neighbor raises his hand and says, yeah, I'll buy it for $50,000. So he's like, great. So he takes the $50,000, pays off his seller $10,000. He makes the $40,000 spread, and then sends a notice to the county, record this deed first, record this deed second, and has an infinite return on investment.
Oh my goodness. All right. So now you're talking about the end buyer. So you taught us how to find the deals. Tell us, how do we find the end buyers or the people who will lease the deals?
So we just want to market in those places where people are
neighbors and stuff like that.
Land. Neighbors, right. Certainly, Craigslist or Facebook. And the reason Land Motives, these are free platforms to market, or just very inexpensive places to market.
I guess a better question would be how, and forgive me, because I know you already said that, but how would you figure out how to price them? Because you mentioned comps.
We want to make it we want to make it irresistible. So basically, it's just like any other, let's just pick on the Tesla, right? If it's a $120,000 Tesla, well, very few people want to just plunk down $120,000 cash per Tesla. But if they can afford $1,000 a month, that's really what they're focused on. So when you would sort of advertise like you would, a car, right? $299 down, $299 a month, and then when they go through the paperwork, they'll see that it's $30,000 or whatever it is. So that's how you really want to market it.
Okay.
Is the down payment, the monthly payment, and then you give a cash discount. Let's say 20% cash discount. But you want to keep it as simple as possible.
This is fantastic. And I forget. And so thank you for being on the show, because this just really starts getting my creative juices flowing here. So I want to get into, convince me now, Mr. Mark, what are 5 reasons I should be creating this passive income in raw land investments?
Okay, so the first one is raw land cash flow, right? So many people think, well, it's a negative cash flow. I hold raw land, I got to pay taxes, and that's a typical model, right? Is you buy, it's the hockey stick model essentially. You buy outside the city, you wait for development, and then Jeb's a millionaire, and it hockey sticks up in value. But that whole time you're waiting, right? You're negative cash flow. And so this is a way to essentially have 2 bites at apple. You can sell that land. It starts cash flowing for you. If they default and you start seeing that development is starting to occur, you just keep it, put it into a trust. So you could definitely do that. So there's definitely a strategy with that. But that's the first reason, is it cash flows. The second reason is it's very simple. You got a buyer and a seller and a piece of raw land. Notice I didn't say private money lender. I didn't say a bank. You don't necessarily, for a lot of these smaller transactions, have to go through title company. So it's a very simple process. The third reason is we can always make more money. We can't get more time. So this is 90% automated with inexpensive virtual assistants, software on the front end, and software on the back end. So once you have that set up, you have a business. You don't want to create another job for yourself. The fourth reason is that, essentially, you want to get out of what I call solo economic dependency, which means if you're personally not working, you're not making any money. And passive income solves that, because once your passive income exceeds your fixed expenses, then you essentially can move up Maslow's hierarchy of needs into self-actualization. You've solved your money problems. And getting back to that whole thing, well, if I'm a landlord, I'm not really solving my money problems necessarily, or my time problems. I want to solve my money and my time problems, because I don't want to deal with the renters and the rehabs and the renovations and the rodents. So that's another good.
I love how you tack on rodents.
Right? Yeah. So you've got the simplicity with it. You've got less headaches or no headaches. You have no outside people there, and it cash flows, and you get the passive income, which is going to solve your money and your time problems. Is that 5? I can come up with another reason if you want.
I think that was 5. That was awesome. So I do have a question. When you buy it from Jen for $2,500, how long does it take you to find an end buyer or someone to lease it from you?
So it's 30 days or less. So if it doesn't sell in 30 days or less, then something has to change. Either my pricing has to go up. Maybe it's too cheap. People think there's something wrong with the property if it's too cheap. Maybe my pricing has to go down. Maybe I have to lower the down payment. Maybe I have to raise the down payment. Maybe I have to lower the monthly payment, raise the monthly payment. Maybe my headline's not compelling. I like big lots. I cannot lie. It's going to get more clicks than, something a little bit more boring. Like you got to have some good marketing going on. So
I like big lots and I cannot lie.
Yeah,
that's
right?
awesome.
So that's what it is. Yeah.
All right, this is great, and again, something I need to wrap my brain around. You have a book, so I love the title of your book. Share the title of your book with the listeners.
Dirt Rich. How one ambitiously lazy geek created passive income without renters, rehabs, renovations, or roads.
Very good. And then there's a second one coming out.
Dirt Rich 2, the next plot. And that's going to be about how to scale your land business.
This is so great. So you heard me at the beginning of the podcast. I gave a badassery bestowment because I am the bestower of badassery. Do you have a badassery bestowment, a good nugget that you can share with the listeners?
Yeah, I like to quote Zig Ziglar. If you'll do for the next 3 to 5 years what other people won't do, you'll be able to do for the rest of your life what other people can't do.
I love that. I have a quote and it says 2 years. I didn't realize that was a Zig Ziglar quote. So, oh my goodness, I off the top of my head, but entrepreneurship is living your life like most won't, so that you can live the rest of your life like most can't. So I think I totally butchered that, but it was a very similar one. So I love that. Great a badassery bestowment right there. So thank you for that. All right. The second half of the podcast is what makes Mark Podolsky. Did I say it right? Podolsky?
You did.
That's a nice German last name. Just kidding.
No, it's Russian, actually.
Is it really Russian? Should I say it fast?
It is Russian.
Because I'm Russian?
Which is really unpopular these days.
I know. I'm sorry.
I think it might be Ukrainian.
Oh, okay. Well then.
I don't know.
Regardless, it's, just a name. So I use the acronym for badass, and the first letter is B for book. Mark, what's a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
Okay. I'm a huge reader. Huge.
Me too.
So I would, okay. So if you want to go into, let's just talk about business.
Okay.
So there's 2 great business books. When combined, are really powerful. And I'm sure you hear this all the time, but it's just that good. It's The One Thing by Gary Keller. But you combine that with the 12-week year by Brian Moran, and you've got something really powerful.
So the 12-week year, is he the one who did the 4-hour work week? Is that the same guy?
No, that's Tim Ferriss. The 12-week year essentially makes the argument that when you set a goal, an annual goal, most companies crush it at the end of the year because they've got to hit their goal. Well, what happens if we compress it? We have a 12-week year, so it's quarterly. So every week is a month, essentially. Or no, every day is a week and every week is a month.
Okay.
So you've got a built-in intensity into your 12-week year, and then you revisit your quarterly goals. Were they too easy? Were they too hard? And then just readjust. And it could be just life-changing, working that program.
Well, I know the one thing. I've read that one. That's a fantastic book. I have to get this other one. Say it one more time. The 12-week.
The 12-week year.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Now, as far as like spirituality.
Yes.
I think your listeners would love The Second Mountain.
Oh.
So the first mountain is by David Brooks. The first mountain is egoic, right? You are raised to go get a good job, good education. You get married, you have kids, you get the nice house, the nice car. You climb the ladder and you get to the top of that egoic mountain. You've checked off all the boxes that society says to get, and it's empty. So then you go to the second mountain. And the second mountain is about purpose, vocation, community, love, right? It's a harder mountain to climb, but it's way more fulfilling. And I just love that book.
I am going to have to buy that one. I love how that sounds. Thank you for sharing that. All right. The first A in badass is for advice. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
My mom says this to me all the time, and I love it. It's life is not a dress rehearsal. So you do it now. Don't wait. Do it now.
Huge. And what I'm hearing is action. Take action. There's so many people in this industry who become stuck in that analysis paralysis. And this is just one of those things where go for it. Excellent advice. Thanks, Mom, for that. All right. The D in badass is drive. What drives you to be successful?
I want to be a good ancestor. I want to make a difference. And when I die, all the stuff I've accumulated, that's, everything I have is going to go away, right? I'm going to lose it all. But the one thing that I will hopefully will live beyond me are my values. And so that's what drives me is, can I live this purpose-driven life where the values then outlive me and, hopefully be the pebble in the pond and make a difference in other people's lives. It spreads out. And I've made a positive impact.
Huge.
Before I die.
Huge. It's like climbing that second mountain. All right.
There it is.
The second A in badass is aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So what is a goal you are currently working on?
So I'm not a big goal setter, actually. I know it's kind of weird. I've gotten to that point where I'm very zen these days, and I'm just living day by day, moment by moment.
Okay, tell everyone where you just came back from. You just visited.
So I just came back from Bali and Vietnam, so I'm sort of in that mode.
Yes.
As well, but I would say that aspirationally, if I have an aspiration, it's to be the best version of myself, and to be able to step back and look at my day and my reactions to things, and how I conducted myself with my team, my business, my clients, and I would say aspirationally, can I be better tomorrow than I was yesterday?
Fantastic. And I bet maybe just a few of those raw land deals maybe paid your way to go visit these places.
Yeah, it pays for everything. Yeah. Thank you, borrowers. I appreciate you. Yeah.
All right. The first S in badass is systems. I'm excited to hear this one. So what systems do you have in place to help you achieve success?
Okay. So I have software on the front end called lgpass.com, the Land Geek proprietary automated software system. And basically it's a set and forget. Well, it's not a set and forget, but you get a list, you can upload the list into the software. It will automate your mailings. And then from there, it takes you from each, the 5 pieces of the business, it takes you all the way to contracts. We used to take, 20 minutes to do contracts now takes 1 second.
Wow.
So every day I'm always thinking I can always make more money. I can't get more time. How do I save myself time? I'll literally invest any amount of money into saving more time. So my system is based on that and solving these pain points with software. Then the next system is, every piece of the business, there's a lot of moving parts. It's not how do I do this, it's who's going to do this for me. And then finding the right pieces of that puzzle to do that. There you go.
Have you read this book? I'm holding, by the way.
I'm actually in the mastermind with those guys.
Are you? I'm holding up the book called Who Not How by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy. So what is the name of this mastermind? I forgot.
The Genius Network.
Genius Network.
Yeah.
I'm halfway through that book, and it's just one of those things where it's like, I can't wait to start hiring people and finding my who's. And now every conversation I have with people out there, I'm like, oh, you could be my who. So, and then I can turn around and be the who for them. So thank you for bringing that up, because I have a really hard time letting go and allowing other people to do things. And this has been a great book, but you have been an inspiration for me for that as well. Hearing you have all these automated systems and going to 1 minute to signing a contract and being done with it. I am super excited about that. And the final S is success. What does success mean to Mark?
I mean, really, I think success to me, again, is just being a good ancestor and hopefully making a positive difference before I die. So that's really it.
Well, that is a great way to wrap this up, but I want to make sure the listeners know how to find you. You have a coaching program, correct?
Yeah, exactly. We teach the model, but we have tons of free stuff. So, I think the best way to learn anything is by doing it. So I've got a free course that will teach them how to double their money in 30 days or less. So they can go to thelandgeek.com/quick deals, thelandgeek.com/quick deals, and then start doing the business, see if it resonates with them. And if it does, they can go deeper into the model.
And you have software that you touched on it.
So we have software on the front end, and then on the back end, we have a set and forget it automated note payment system called geekpay.io, which will manage their notes, collects the money, does all the notifications, everything with note managing is automated.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is I find that Jen, who owns that property in Arizona, and I buy it for $2,500 and then I lease it to somebody else. They give me a down payment of $2,500. You have a system that's going to collect all those payments for me?
Correct. Via ACH. Yes. Yeah.
Mark, this is mind-blowing. This is so amazing. I truly appreciate you taking the time to come on here. And I know you're so busy, but I mean, you're traveling around the world, you're doing your thing, and it has been such a pleasure having you on the show. I truly appreciate you being here.
Jen, thank you so much. You have been so good to my fragile ego. I cannot thank you enough.
Well, I do have to, because folks, when he first came on, he had, it has your little profile picture that first shows up. I'm like, oh, he looks so dreamy in that photo. And you call yourself the geek. And I'm like, whatever. So far beyond that. So truly, it has been awesome. Thank you for inspiring me yet again. I will get my ass out there and buy me up some land. And I'm looking forward to this turnaround. I want to check out your program. I got to get that software so it automates we call it mailbox money, but it's not even, you don't even have to waste your time going to the mailbox and then it gets directly deposited into your account. Mark, this is mind blowing. Thank you so very much. How do people find you on like social media and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm on all the interwebs. You can start the landgeek.com, but if you just search the landgeek.com on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, I'm everywhere.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you, Mark, and thank you for listening, and we will catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josie by visiting therealjenjosie.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.